the like kind of blanket approach to how they view the world has informed so much of how people are approaching big questions today, like far up the food chain, right? It's funny, you and I were talking about this, and we were saying, like, going back through all of this, it feels like an alternate historical path of a story of how we got to where we are right now today. Trump in the White House and the people that are staffing up all the agencies, and are how they view the world, how they want to shape the world. And we can all kind of trace it back to a lot of stuff that was happening here online and in Berkeley, California, that ended up really like kind of doing a lot of the ideological training of everyone in Silicon Valley, right? And it's funny because I think a lot of it is really eerie going back through this stuff. And you can see how it has created a framework that it's fundamentally opposed to kind of like the way that I just approach the world, the way I see the world.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult for me.
Like reading through a lot of this stuff, because again, we've visited and revisited Less Wrong and like the writings associated with this community from like a pretty early part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that we've talked about have at least like some tangential or direct sometimes involvement in this kind of stuff, or very influenced by the language here. This is kind of my problem with like a lot of tech stuff in general. And you and I were talking about this morning. Like these people do, whether they know it or not, like they are on a mission to kind of destroy everything that you love and hold dear, and that like that has made humanity human. And like it's funny because Miri is like ostensible purpose. I'm sure they would tell you a million things. From what I understand as a normal human being who I think that sort of a median person, like they're researching AI safety and making sure that we don't create, something crazy that's going to kill everybody or torture us all for infinity, which seems like a pretty okay thing to do. But like they're so like wrapped up in their own fucking bullshit, and like the thought processes that go behind like that, like they show their fucking work here that like go behind like all the decisions that they make are like so antithetical to like what I think of as like the soul of humanity, that like it is almost like the AI has already taken over these fucking people. And like it's like, how when you see like Lex Fridman talk or whatever, and like he's actually almost like more emotive than a lot of these people. They can be emotive, but like it's like there's a sort of what do they call it? The uncanny valley, like where you're like, am I watching a person, or like is this some sort of like advanced? Like if it came out that Lex Fridman had been a fucking like hoax done by some technology company, and that like he didn't exist, and it's been like a fucking hologram or like a cartoon for the past whatever many years he's been doing it, I would not be surprised. And like these people. And this is, I think, the case for a lot of people in Silicon Valley, almost think of themselves as thinking machines, kind of in that like new atheist way where they're talking about like, it's in that, I guess metaphorical, but like, we're just sacks of flesh with computer chips as brains.
Right.
They are sacks of flesh with computer chips as brains.
That's why they want to optimize. That's why everything is about efficiency. That's why everything is about hacking and, removing all of those messy things that actually are what make us human. And that's like kind of, what undergirds a lot of this thinking. And when taken to the extreme, which is, where you see it and everything, like we've said, from Sam Bankman-Fried to this killer cult, which we will get to, this ideology, it's really, really fucking dangerous. And it also sadly feels to me like poetically the only thing that America might be capable of creating.
There was a viral clip that was going around that I think is actually from a couple of years ago of Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, talking about how, the new technologies are going to cause us to sort of renegotiate the social contract. And the reality is like, and I mean, this has sort of been the kind of the great joke of a lot of social media companies since they started, is that like a lot of the people who are in charge of like these ways that we interact socially and who have like great influence and power in a lot of the like new sort of theaters or whatever for social dynamics to take place. I'm talking about social media here, but like a lot of the internet in general are like fundamentally antisocial people, and like who on like a basic level. I mean, I made a joke about this earlier at the beginning, like things that like a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old would take for granted in their interactions with other people. They like don't fully understand. I mean, this is what makes Mark Zuckerberg, I think, so unnerving to people, is because you can tell like this is a person who like is not maybe capable of interacting with me on like the level that I would sort of expect from like meeting just a normal guy. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, all that is to say, like, the world contains, you know, endless amounts, different kinds of people. I'm not saying that like, you know, because you're socially weird or you're like think different, like that's fucked up. But I think that like it is a fundamental danger that like much of this like almost this technological policy, which translates into social policy and every other kind of policy you can think of, is led by people who sort of like stem from this worldview, which like is heavy on utilitarianism and like reduces everything to like equations. And I think part of what bugs me so much about this is they call themselves rationalists, and they say that they're and the way that they talk, the way that they fucking bloviate is in this way that's so self-important, and they think they're all so fucking smart. And I just want to tell you, from a normal fucking guy, you're not so smart. I actually think you're fucking stupid, and I think you're fucking weird. If being rational got you to where like Eliezer Yudkowsky is on any given day at whatever sweaty fucking like massive people orgy that he finds himself in some fucking dank Berkeley fucking basement, then rationalism is a supremely irrational and in fact insane thing to base your life around.